landing last January of U.S. Airways Flight 1549 on the Hudson River. We all remember it. In the new book, Miracle on the Hudson, 118 of the 155 people on board share their memories of that flight and talk about how their lives have changed since then.
When that boom hit the plane.
What was that? What was that?
Which runway would you like at Teterboro? We're going to be in the Hudson.
I yelled out to my dad, who's my guardian angel, and I said, "Dad, can you help us here?" And when we hit, I really felt like there were hands under the plane, had just stopped us from perishing. One day someone came in my office and said, "So how are you doing?" And I said, "You know, I'm struggling with this thing in the pit of my stomach. I can't find peace in there. I can't find my happy place." And he said, "Well, you should go somewhere happy, like the happiest place on earth." And I said, "Disney World." I got to spend 3 days just screaming my head off, and I got rid of that. I got rid of the hysteria. And you know what? No one knew. Everyone was screaming, and no one knew that my screams were coming from a completely different place.
I had just moved to Charlotte a month earlier, and I thought, wow, I think I'm going to die alone.
Actually, I noticed her in the airport, and I thought, well, maybe she's on my flight. And then when I boarded, I got a book out, started reading the book, and then there she was coming down the aisle, and I'm like, you know, hopefully she'll sit beside me. But so just like always, she sits somewhere else, and you know, typically I would probably never see her again.
We officially met at our 6-month anniversary party. One of the other passengers had said, "Hey, good to see you, Laura. Have you met Ben?" We hugged each other because that's what we all do. We hug each other like we've known each other for 20 years. Why don't you listen to these words? I think it was probably the second time that we hung out. We danced, and then it's been every single day that we hang out, we do that. And that's kind of our ritual, just to play some songs.
No matter where we're at. Whatever we're doing, we always end up dancing somewhere.
When you go through something like that, you can't help but kind of re-examine everything in your life. One of the things that became apparent was that the relationship with my family, my parents and my sister, she's my only sibling, were very close. However, we weren't always very good at articulating that. We had a long talk. We talked about what might have been had I not survived. The irony was that she passed away in June, very unexpectedly, of a massive brain aneurysm. My parents had thought they had lost one daughter, only to lose the other within 6 months, almost to the day. I did have a chance to tell Captain Sullenberger this recently. I told him that he gave us a gift that day.
For me, it really starts with just extreme gratitude. And I could tell Sully thank you every day for the rest of my life. Obviously, very grateful for, you know, meeting her.
When you say, "I'm really happy to be here," I really mean it.
Wow. That's wonderful. Remember, right after it happened, we talked to a lot of the survivors, and they said, "We feel like we have a new lease on life," but they weren't exactly sure if that feeling would last. It's so good to see that it has.
Can you imagine that one couple, if they have kids in the future, the kids saying, "Where did you and Mom meet?" "Well, there was this plane thing."
That's my favorite story.
That's a great story.
I do love that story, that whole thing about seeing somebody walk down the aisle of a plane and say, "Gee, I would love to meet that person." And of course, it never happens.
Never.
Never, ever happens. That's almost the stuff in novels, right? Really great.
Thanks, Sully. Well, if you want to read an excerpt from Miracle on the Hudson, go to our website, earlyshow.cbsnews.com.